Hi, in this video we're going to talk about image balancing. Balancing your images are very important. In fact, when the viewer looks at your header, your mini sites, e-covers, and items like that, a lot of times in their brain they're looking at images, and if they're not balanced right, then their brain's going to tell them, wait, there's not something right here. So balancing is definitely a basic knowledge of graphic design that you need to learn. Now, it's not very hard to follow. In fact, it's very easy, and I'll show you two different types of balancing, symmetrical and asymmetrical. So graphic balance is basically an equal distribution of visual weight. For example, a lot of designers will use things like contrast, thickness, lightness, darkness, size, and different items such as that to balance the weight of the graphic. That's where we move on to two different types of balancing, symmetrical and asymmetrical balancing. Symmetrical balancing first is the arrangement of different items so that they are evenly distributed to the left and to the right of the middle of the graphic. And in just a minute, I'll show you actual examples of symmetrical balancing when it comes to headers or e-covers. The second type of balancing is called asymmetrical balancing, which is the arrangement of objects that might be different types of objects. Like for the symmetrical, you might find an image on the left and an image on the right, but as far as asymmetrical goes, it's the arrangement of objects that are not like each other. So you might have an image on your right, but you might have a lot of big text on your left, so that it balances it out. So you might have different colors, sizes, shapes, textures to use for balancing. So instead of talking about it, let me actually show you what this is all about so you get a better view. Right now I'm taking a look at a header, and in this header they're using symmetrical balancing. You have in the middle the text of the product, and then you have the subtitle right below this. This is something that a lot of designers for headers or e-covers use. They often put things like the title at the top, the subtitle at the bottom. They use an image on the left and an image on the right. Some people fade the image on the left, and I'll show you in a minute a few more examples. Here I've done a search on 3D e-covers on Google Images, so we're just picking random images here, and we'll show you the actual balancing of these images. I've also opened up another tab that does a search for mini site headers. Since we were talking about headers earlier, let's just stick with that. Let's take a look at this header and e-cover site here. So I'll open that into another tab here. And we're looking at a very basic header and mini site page. This is something that you could do, and I'll show you in a minute how you can actually do that. Now I will say this, some of you might be thinking, well, I really don't know what symmetrical and asymmetrical balancing really is. Well, if you're confused about it, let me show you a specific shortcut that you can use that you don't have to look at it and say, okay, this is symmetrical or this is asymmetrical. Let me show you a way that I also use so that I don't have to remember all the balancing. Let's take a look at this header, for example. You'll notice that they have two images, or possibly one image, and they're on the left side. Then you have the text on the right side that is balanced, and it's put all the way to the end over this on this side. You'll notice that the text is almost as big as the graphic itself. And then you have a little bit texture on this side. It's a little brighter, so you have more of a balance here. So if you were to split this in half, for example, we would want to assume that this side would be a little more balanced, like sort of like a seesaw. You want to have it so that it's, both sides are up. And you'll notice with e-covers itself as well, you'll notice that they'll put the text at the top, they'll put the subtitle either at the middle or the bottom, or they'll exchange it. It doesn't always have to be at the top. And you'll have an image either at the top or the bottom, as you can see here. But they also use image balancing for the e-cover as well. You'll notice that you can split it in half, and you'll notice that there's a graphic at the bottom and there's text that's almost a similar size to this graphic here. So basically in this video I'm just trying to teach you that once you start creating your headers and e-covers, everything that I've taught you to this point is going to be extremely easy. Let's take another example here. You can see a free mini site from Albert Halido, and if I view it and we zoom in, we'll notice that he uses an image, and this is a template as I can see, and your text here, and a big text, and your name here. So if we look at the background here, he uses a symmetrical, as we can see here, because it's red on this side and it's yellow on this side, and it's exactly in the middle. At the same time, he uses text, a big text, to complement this image here, and small text here. Let's move on to e-covers. And as you go through e-covers yourself, you'll notice that the ones that are balanced but also use layers and everything like that actually look nicer than some of the e-covers that are out there. I zoomed forward and got out of Google, and I'm looking at a mini site graphic by Sean Lowry, and in this example we notice that the text is on the left side, and that is balanced out by the graphic and this texture here. One thing to note is that headers e-covers will look very similar. They might have different areas moved around, but in this example you have the big text, subtitle, and the images in the middle. And we can see a similar design in this image with the text on the left and a bigger image with a nice looking text in the background on the right side. Now that you have a better idea of image balancing and the different two types of balancing, but yet how to look at it, an image, and look at whether it has balancing or not, whether it's symmetrical or asymmetrical, let's actually start creating headers and e-covers, which should be a much easier part now that you know how to use layers and image balancing and things like that.